Success is the child of drudgery and perseverance. It cannot be coaxed or bribed. Pay the price and it's yours. Orison Swett Marden. My friends, I hear that. I do believe that perseverance is required. I don't find that success, or at least mine, is based on drudgery because I love what I do and I love following stocks. I love the market. It is one of the most fascinating things that I do. That's why I'm here with you every day, covering what's going on, putting it out to you for free. We sure appreciate our Patreon members that support and underwrite the costs of the channel. But again, I've done it for years for free. Spent my own money to keep all this going, and I do it because actually in the end, I'm the one that benefits the most. Why is that? Well, I taught law for about 18 years while still practicing law, and I learned more teaching law because I had to be prepared in order to present it to my students than I probably did from most other things. So teaching, of course, you've got to know what you're talking about. That requires you to be in the market to do this. And I find it absolutely fascinating. I love it. It never gets old for me. I encourage you to learn this. You learn by doing. That's how I learned it. That's how everybody does. You don't learn from a textbook. You learn, that can help, but you've got to get out there and practice it and do it. So let's jump into these charts. And appreciate all the new Patreon members this week. Thank you so much for coming aboard. Let's look at the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, 20-year bonds, gold, and Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF, XBTF. We'll go over all those for you today. How did the markets end up when we go to the S&P 500, which is where we always start? We have a spinning top, almost a doji here. In fact, it's very close. Let's blow that up for you. And you will see that, of course, it is a spinning top right there on the line. That is from the last 2 weeks. It's actually just a little below it. We see volume is up there on average, which is telling us something. Now, again, those of you who've taken the volume training, I put out a great volume training. You can find it at chartingwealth.com. Go back a couple. You will see the volume training that I put out this week, and it's really wonderful. I want you to study that over the weekend. Read it. Chartingwealth.com. You'll see it under trainings. What does it talk about? It talks about what Jesse Livermore, probably one of the most famous traders that ever lived, very successful guy, ended up not dying too well, committed suicide, but he left so much for us regarding his teachings and his knowledge on price and volume. And price and volume tell you volumes about what's going on. Those old guys, all they had was a ticker tape. And it had on it price and volume, how many shares were being sold and bought. Now, what's so fascinating about it is when you see volume high, this is up to average, but there's not much going on as far as the price goes. You notice that the volume's actually higher than these last two big candles. What's that telling you? Well, read the training this week, and it will tell you when you have anomalies like that, something's going on with the insiders, and it can many times show you a peak or a bottom. So pay close attention to it when you see it. Now, what is that potentially portending for us? We may have reached a top. Now, we'll see as the next week goes on, we start seeing red down candles. That's definitely telling us something. Just because we see a spinning top or a doji, you can see right here, they just were the market digesting gains, and then things popped up again. Again, you can see this average volume here on these two spinning tops, almost a doji right here. And then what happened? The next week, things settled out a little bit with lower volume. Then what happened? They took off. So again, look at what happened here with this super high volume, decent sized candle, but look at all that volume compared to this candle here, higher than average, a spinning top followed by plumbing the depths with that volume. And then when we saw things go green the next week, a little higher than average volume and take off, told you what was underway. So again, volume, very, very helpful. Please read that training. It's for free. It's at chartingwealth.com. Over the weekend, you will get so much out of it. It will change potentially the way you look at. For years, I didn't pay attention to volume. And then I learned. So what we see going on, you can see on the 2-day chart, which finished drawing today. It was a Thursday, Friday. It's below the weekly trend line. Remember, we draw the weekly trend line because that's what we trade off of on our practice trades. And then we have them laminated here on the 2-day and the half-day because we want to see where those smaller charts are going as per our big chart. And what we, of course, has seen happen is we've gone below that. So that is telling us what might be coming. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. We've seen that happen before here. And you can see as I go, and if you look at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, now I want you to look up at the top right-hand side. You can see as I move this half day, it does move along slowly, the weekly, because again, those are synced up also, so we can see what's going on with these candles as we're looking at all three of our charts. That's what makes this TradingView platform so fabulous, being able to do this. So you can see where it's dropped over before and gone down and then peaked up again. So it doesn't mean it's topping out, but we are paying close attention to it. Gone up for quite a while. What do we see going on with the Qs? I could almost say ditto here. Same kind of thing happening. It's really almost a doji there. Dojis are where the open and the closing are right around the same. Of course, you just get a big cross. That tells you lots of indecision. You pay attention to that. You add volume to it. It's telling you even more. So we see things pushing through. Now again, could just be digesting gains like we saw in here, but could be getting ready to roll over. What will tell us that? Red candles next week. That's what will tell us that. And we'll pay attention to those if indeed they occur. That's what we've seen this week. That's what your outlook is potentially for next week. Put that in your show notes. Now, let's see what's going on with 20-year bonds. Booming up for the day, 1.77%. We saw it drop down for 1, 2, 3 days and then pop up. Didn't even go as high today as it sunk yesterday morning. So we are paying attention. You can see the 2-day and look at all that volume on the 2-day chart. Move the candle out of the way. Look at all that volume. And look at this. Look at all the volume on the weekly chart. Look at that spike in volume. As things finally took off going down, it was, again, didn't feel comfortable doing much of anything here. And then all of a sudden, we get it roll over and head down. Now, it was up for the day 1.77%. But it doesn't mean that this down move is over in bonds. Next, we go to gold. Gold up 0.36%. 2 candles under the weekly trend line here. A red doji, lots of indecision, tending down when you have a red candle. And of course, gold was up a little bit for the day, a little bit, 0.36%, after 3 days of down movement bottoming out. What's gold going to do? We're going to be paying attention to it because, of course, we had it try to move up for 3 weeks and then sort of die on us. Is it going to digest that like it did before and then try to peak up again? You can see where it peaked with that high volume. You can see where it started with that high volume. Where it ended, again, average, above average with those spinning tops and then took off. And then sort of hit this ceiling on gold and then rolled back over going down. So again, we'll watch, pay attention over the course of this next week, see which way gold is going to go. And then lastly, we go to Bitcoin. Down for the day, 1.11%. Again, what is it doing? Sort of sliding sideways, tending down. You can see the little crappy trend line we've drawn here. Crappy trend lines are flat trend lines. What do they do for you? Not much. When you have trend lines that are just barking up or down, those are great. They make you feel good getting into a trade. When you see one that's sort of slowly kinking over and not taking off like this, you don't get excited about pulling the trigger, getting in. What do I want to see happen? I want to see, and again, those of you who are waiting for the Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies training, I always put that out on Fridays for the general audience. The Patreon members get it earlier in the week, but you'll hear me talk more about this. I want this to roll back hard, reset, give us a good trend, Let us then watch it stop on the down move and then slowly gain momentum moving up instead of just popping up and then sliding sideways. Doesn't do anything for us. I don't like the Bitcoin chart as far as charting goes. You guys asked me to do this. I'm doing it for you, hoping that at some point this will become a chart that we can actually bank on. Right now, you can do some practice trades on it, and you do see at the beginning of the year, after it bottomed out, it did pop up, but then it got sloppy, rolled down, and then popped up again, almost as high as it would go, and then rolled down, then popped up again, almost as high as it would go, and rolling down. The only thing that we've seen happen is that it has continued to move up overall, but man, are you taking some risk. Jumping in and then seeing it kill all that and move down, and then hopefully it moves up again. Not the kind of thing I'm going to be spending my practice trade dollars on. And again, remember, we're not a stock calling service, not a Bitcoin or gold or bond calling service. We're an education firm. I want you to practice trade with us, learn how this works. That is it for the week, folks. Another great week. I love this. Thank you for being with us. Patreon members, thank you for your support. If you want to support us, go to Patreon, any of the 3 levels. First thing you get in your first email when you sign up is our training on options. If you're interested in options, we got it. Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, 3-part series. First thing you get when you sign up in any of the 3 levels. If you appreciate what we do, things that you support tend to stay around. Thank you so much. God bless. Have a great weekend and another wonderful week in the market.